we go. We got to have. It's got to be good lighting. You can't proceed with a show. It's not strong lighting when you've got the kind of caliber of arm wrestler on here who is not shy of taking a nice soft focus photograph.
That's soft.
And actually, Raymond Royce Liepins. Raymond Royce Liepins, who has a former modelling career that few people knew about, and we've been trying to expose on the Deep Inside series.
Royce.
Eye on those thumbnails, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the very best, the more Ray than you ever thought you could get. Rivaling Ryan in that. Now then, guys, I don't want to go diving in with any stupid stuff as we start off this episode of The Fix. But ladies and gentlemen, episode 36, look at that T-shirt. There it is. Paul Linn has received his official The Fix Crew T-shirt. In a week or so, we will begin our association with our first sponsor, Western Survivor, motherfuckers.
We made it. We made it.
And Spotify, yeah. It's Spotify.
And Spotify, yeah.
Spotify and that. Us and Rogan. So as of probably next week, maybe or next episode, which will be episode 30. I'll just check with my technical.
Episode 37.
36?
This
one. Oh, next one. 37. Yeah, 37.
Yes. Checked it out with technical director. 37, we should all be in our fixed shirts, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Vandal, Western Survivor, sending that stuff over to us, and more importantly, sending over some of the finest beef jerky that I have ever tasted in my fine fat life. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well then, you saw whole size for the ladies, Paul Linn. Pennsylvania right there, it's cold, so he hasn't got the boobies out this week. But
the boobies. Geez.
The boobies. Ladies and gentlemen, from Australia, where he's still in a t-shirt, possibly shorts, it's Ryan Blue Bowen. And last but by no means least, with the new haircut done and dusted, it's Ray, Rolly Royce the Voice. Boom. Just as you saw it on the animate shot. There it is, right there. That's where the inspiration came from. Now, episode 37, guys, don't want to go diving in with any stupid stuff, but how good Schoolboy? Why Schoolboy?
You're going to throw me under the bus straight away. You watched the hate.
You watched the Schoolboy. This is what we're talking about.
Oh, look, I've had this question asked to me a lot of times. Naturally, Schoolboy he is the leader of YouTube in the arm wrestling world. No one's got a bigger brand than him personally. Maybe Devon, but numbers-wise, Schoolboy's it. But a lot of people have asked me, could you beat Schoolboy? And I always try to give a politically respectable answer, and I say that, look, he and I have been pulling a similar amount of years. He was a kid when he started. I was already an adult, but we've been dedicated equally for about the same amount of years. So, given that he's a 250-pound puller and I'm a 210-pound puller, I am happy to say he probably has the edge in a power sense. But I've always said that if I stop the match, I think I could win it. And we just watched him pull colored, and it looks like on right arm he's terrified of going into the hook. So for me, my confidence has just spiked a whole lot because I'm happy to go in the hook, and I think if it went even slightly in a hook, I think I would have him. So if he wasn't just out and out taking my wrist, yeah, I think I'd have Schoolboy.
Fascinating potential matchup. It is.
Danny Tesh already crushed Schoolboy in Hong Kong. Just keep that in mind.
You know what? At that point, Ryan, and it segued in lovely to what we're just going to talk about because we've got some messages. And what I'm going to focus on is this. And I quote. Amazingly, no joke, this is from Alex, not the Alex.
Guys.
Why has Danny Tesh become such a big focus on your show? Why is he such a meme? And a couple of people have come out with similar things. I don't get it. I appreciate Danny Tesh looks like a pretty good arm wrestler, but what has Danny Tesh got that other arm wrestlers haven't got? Now I'm going to go first, and I'm going to start with
omnipotence.
Any advance on that, lads?
And there we go. And there you have your joke. The best one yet.
Yeah. Joking aside, for anybody else, that's what it is. Ryan. Danny Tesh.
I mean, without going too far off the rails, I don't know. We actually got an insight into Danny Tesh just maybe a week and a half ago. The Aussie arm wrestler interviewed the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation president, Phil Rasmussen, and Phil spoke for about 6 or 7 minutes on Danny Tesh. And basically he said Danny is truly fascinated by the brand that he has grown without doing a bloody thing. And Danny still is a tremendously freakishly strong human in every respect, but he's I don't know, he's not chasing anything in the arm wrestling world right now. He may come back and be immediately relevant again, but at the moment, he's happily being every other way.
There you go.
Yeah, all jokes aside, what does he have that other arm wrestlers don't have? He doesn't have social media, and he doesn't have a care. It's like that old adage, like, if you got a girlfriend in high school and you pay too much attention to her, she'll be looking somewhere else. But when you ignore them, then they come right back in. I mean, that's the reality of it. Danny Tesh has ignored the arm wrestling community and has become a legend because of it.
He's iron.
Yeah.
And he also is not opposed to popping up on any given day, anywhere against anyone, and kicking their ass. And, he looks a little bit like Jesus right now.
Yeah, well, now he does. But I guess the true origin of why he developed this reputation was because of his WAL debut, where the entire country of Australia had unwavering faith that he was going to crush Quinlan Mendes. It didn't matter what anyone said. All of Australia said, no, you don't get it. It's Danny. He's not going to lose. and then he won. And henceforth, Danny became the almighty Danny.
The king. And he also invented beer. He invented shagging. And he saved and recovered the sight of a blind koala bear.
So Schoolboy. Ray, how do you go against Schoolboy?
Oh, counter-punch. Thrown.
I said in the video, like he's not believes he is. I think we all can agree to that. He hasn't reached the level, or he doesn't have the credentials. He's arm wrestling guys on the street. He's an arm wrestler that's big and strong, and that will just sustainably will get better. Like, do I have a chance? I'm 5'7", and he's 6 foot something, 5'3", something
4,
like
5,
huge dude, close to 120 kilos. When I'm in shape, it's 86 kilos, So like, what are my chances to press him? You know, I believe inside arm wrestling can beat his game. Of course, he's a huge favorite versus me. Let him come down to my weight class. I mean, even allow 95 and 100 kilos. That's a different ball game. You know, I don't think he's that good of an arm wrestler. Like, so some guys will say, yeah, but he might be the best talent on 90 or 19 years old or under 18 or whatever it was, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, Dadikyan is the same talent, you know, and he's right there. He's right there. He was just under 21 last year in the Worlds, I think, and smashed everyone. And there's a lot of guys in that line. He needs to have, like, for his brand to continue the legend. I don't know how long can he keep not competing in high level events, because at some point people will like, well, you know, it doesn't look like you're the best because this guy won the Worlds or this guy won the Zlotidor or something like that. So at some point he will need to arm wrestle better quality. Right now for them, whatever they're doing a fantastic job of it, bringing more people's attention to arm wrestling.
It's fabulous.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like with the video that I made where I specifically said that I don't believe he's that level where you're ranking him. No arm wrestler objected to what I said. No arm wrestler. There was only fans, casual, that are starting to name drop some competitions. And when I send them results of those competitions, they're like, okay. You know, it's education. We just need to educate ourselves.
Well, let's be honest though. I mean, what we're not saying here, what I want to make clear is, Schoolboy is legit. Amongst arm wrestlers, any circle, would you go up to them and say, is Schoolboy legit? Yes, he is. Schoolboy's really good. He's extremely legit. He's a very, very good arm wrestler. Not the best arm wrestler in the world, but to be fair to Alex, that, you know, he's 22 years old. I mean, he's a big guy. He hasn't really grown into himself yet. He is still a baby. Will he become exceptional? Will he become elite level? He probably will. He's a very, very good arm wrestler. He's well-rounded enough in his top rolling. He just has areas of weakness on the inside, which he hasn't yet refined and developed. But can he get there at 22? Bet your ass he can. He's way up the ladder for a guy of that age, let's be honest. So, you know, put it into perspective. Ryan is very much a credible arm wrestler. Yourself, Ray, very much a credible arm wrestler. Smaller men, but the likelihood is that you'd both start as an underdog in a match against Schoolboy.
Could Vlad the Destroyer beat Schoolboy?
Yeah, he has much more weapons. If something wouldn't work, I even believe Vlad could top roll him with how powerful his hand is. You know, I really believe. Yeah, the speed, inside everything. He's more well-rounded and much more experience and things like that. And even though he's underdog, he's right on the tip of the spear of 85 kilo class. Right tip of the spear. And if he would face someone who's right on the tip of the spear of super heavyweight class, well, that's a different ballgame. Yeah. Completely different ballgame.
Outsized. Yeah. So that actually takes us into something, Ray. As technical director, you so often do.
Yeah. We are now on Spotify and all the major streaming platforms for podcasts, so go check us out there.
The technical director and technical excellence of Rolly Royce.
Now then, question for you. And who wants to volunteer to take this on? No? Okay, let's go Paul then. Right. This one is from Armwrestling Maribor. Okay? And it's entitled to us. It's a great start. You got this question for us. Okay, guys. Got a question for you. There are all these arguments. Up pressure, side pressure, back pressure, down pressure. It's just having one ace move. How important is it? Like Taras, Jerry, who've got the top roll and the press respectively. Is it about that? Or is it about trying to be as well-rounded as possible and have everything in your arsenal? My personal opinion, having been in the sport for 6 years, is to find your strongest move or thing that you do and build that up as much as possible while working on your weaknesses. Would you guys agree?
This for me.
Yeah, Paul, it's for you.
Good one. I think early on you need to sharpen your ace move so that you can feel confident going into competitions. If you want to have success and validation moving forward, in your career and actually winning, if that's a big concern of yours, I think you need to have an ace move that you can go into any competition, and feel like you have a shot. But personally, I also believe that, well-roundedness is very, very important. It just may be a different portion in your career that you choose to focus on it. I'm not 100% of really the same belief as maybe Ryan, where, who may be more of a disciple of Devon, but I do think that you need to train your weak points, possibly more than your strong points, definitely at, a point in your career where you've gotten somewhere and achieved something. That's just my personal perspective, though. I'll pass it over to you guys.
Rolly Ray, do you want to go?
If someone asked me, what would you have? Like everything 50% on 190% move. I would take that 90% move every day and you just build around that move. I mean, most of the guys will have one super good ace move, but different variations of that move to counteract whatever they are having the problems in a match. So, like Ryan made this theory, giving up your hand is a choice, and it was big controversy, but we all understand what that means. That means maybe not attacking the point where you want, but giving something up and attacking a different point. So very, very small summary. But for me, it would be build the ace move you have, the one thing that is best on you, and then slowly add things to it. So if you're low hand top roller and someone still can get you in a hook, work on that pronation. If you hand top roller and someone, your drag, back pressure drag isn't that good, work on that and slowly build it. So less weaknesses you have, the one move works better. We have seen this from time and time again. Like Giannis is a great example. You will very rarely see Giannis forcing a hook, and it usually isn't with hook pullers. It's usually with top rollers that can deny the vectors or attributes that Giannis is using. Maybe someone's post is better, so Giannis has problem with it, like he did with Justin Bishop. Justin is super good here. Like the weights he can lift and how he uses an arm wrestling table, he's really solid there. Giannis felt he couldn't do it. He hooked him, and turns out Giannis is better in hook. So one move and build everything around it, and you can slowly develop things in your career. You can slowly develop everything. But yeah, Ryan, take on.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about self-awareness. I think it also comes down to the biomechanical gifts you've been given. If you're at the either end of the spectrum of arm length and hand size, it often dictates where you're going. Tall guys, more often than not, are going to be control, back pressure, rotation in the hand-based pullers, where short guys, Sasha Andreev, those sorts of types, are going to be supinated side pressure-based pullers. So the closer you are to either end of the spectrum, I think the more likely the best value you're going to get is developing one ace with the ability to counter all styles from your ace. For someone like myself, I find myself sitting right kind of in the middle. I'm not short. I have a medium length arm. So for me, I feel like it's my best reward is to be truly balanced. I really train in a way that I want to remain balanced. And if I look at my matches, I'm winning just as many matches outside as I am inside. And it just really depends on the guy that I'm coming up against. So for me, self-awareness, knowing your attributes, knowing what type of opponents you're going to be facing, is a big factor on that. And at the end of the day, you've got to have an ace. Within yourself, you've got to know what it is. But as long as you can counter all styles with that ace, you're probably going to have variations of your ace at least.
I think the other thing to build on there, well, just to sort of build on what the guys have said, also look at your style, guys, and look at your genetic makeup in terms of the degree of speed you have as an arm wrestler. I think that is critically important to be very honest with yourself about how fast you are. Because so many guys will try to develop a style on the basis that they're really quick and they're going to finish. In other words, if you're if you're usually second to the start, you often will need a more well-rounded game because people are going to have access to their move before you get there. If you start every match by arm wrestling most opponents in their designated sweet spot, it's hard. It's very, very hard to do that, So all the elements that the guys have mentioned, they're all sort of link in. They're all forming a pattern and a sort of circular environment where they're related to one another. But you can often have more reliance on a single ace move, whether it be an inside style of arm wrestling, an outside style of arm wrestling, if the match never really lasts very long. So if you blast a guy to the pad, blast your opponent out of there really, really quick because you've got that fast twitch fiber, sometimes you find that the guys who were able to carve out a niche career where they've been finishing guys quick, I'll name a few names for you here, Travis Bagent, Cobra Rhodes, Craig Sanders, they didn't necessarily need to be as well-rounded because it was over. And I don't mean just necessarily to the pad. I'm talking about to the position. So fastest over the first inch, over the first couple of inches, to get to a spot where your level is so significant that once you hit that, you're pretty unassailable. It's like serving your ace. If you can find that position, you're going to beat 85, 90% of your opponents. That's very, very important. If you look at yourself in training and most guys are getting to their spot quicker than you're getting to yours, the reliance on you having a very well-rounded game is often going to be higher. Because one move doesn't bode well, And often you find the guys with a propensity to defensive arm wrestling do turn into very well-rounded arm wrestlers. Look at the likes of Jordan Davis, Devon, guys that have that kind of toolbox. They often can do things.
Yeah, Neil, I would say, like, for myself, if I reflect on my last super matches, I'm on a great run of super matches. I've won my last 9 right arm super matches, and yet I think in 6 of those super matches I lost the first round. I feel if I had stayed with the same shape that I used in those first rounds and just tried to do the same thing only harder, I'd probably go on and lose those matches. But because I had a well enough rounded game that I could feel. I was able to identify my opponent's ace in that first round and then just slightly change the groove that we were arm wrestling in and take them out of their ace. And even if it wasn't my ace anymore, because I was a better, well-rounded arm wrestler, it gave me the ultimate victory in the long run of the super match. So yeah, maybe we can say well-roundedness is more super match style and ace is more tournament style.
You know what, mate? I think a very important point. I know I talk about this a lot, and people are probably like, you're like a broken record, Fatty. But what I mean by this is, well-roundedness is not only well-roundedness in a training environment. Going into a room full of people, let's all nip round Paul Linn's house where he's got 50 guys over, and in that environment, I'll pull every position that you want, and then I'll go to a tournament and I'll stick with that same shit that I did the last 10 times. Well-roundedness is about also having the bravery to pop something out in a tournament without fear of losing. So you maybe go to a tournament and have in your mind, you know what, this tournament I'm just going to hook exclusively. Yeah. I'm not going to go for any outside forms, any outside techniques, or I'm just going to press, because in a match and in training, it's night and day. So many things come in there. The environment, the speed of the starts, everything, your mental awareness, what you're going to get away with on setups. There's so many things that I think if you're talking about being a truly well-rounded arm wrestler, you need to be well-rounded in your discipline mentally as well as physically. It's not just about your technical approach. You have to have the situation where, as Ryan just described, you go into a match, it doesn't go your well against a certain opponent, you can flip and think to yourself, okay, let's rip that script up. I'm going to hit something entirely different. And go through that repertoire, go through that range, experiment with it. Don't be hung up on the fact that, people may say, oh, well, this guy got whipped that day. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's once it's in the history books, as far as I'm concerned, it's in the history books. Go through your repertoire and you'll get where you want to go faster. If you become brave and you try different things. Guys like Tom Holland were a great example of that because the kid was brave as balls. He'd always try that different thing. Sometimes get his ass kicked when he could potentially have won, but brave, you know.
I agree on the bravery thing that it really does take a lot of mental fortitude. I remember it took me, there was probably maybe year 3 or 4 in arm wrestling just on the Australian scene. I wanted to hook. I desperately wanted to hook a match, but it took me 3 or 4 tournaments to finally do it. And I'm just like, come on, you pussy, just hook at least once. And even against the guys that I was so much stronger than, I was still scared to friggin' do it. But eventually you do it, and eventually you break those shackles off, and you start to realize the value of even if it doesn't feel within your mind. Sometimes if you can assess that situation and your opponent is vulnerable to a certain position, the bravery to do it, you'll start to feel those rewards. But yeah, like when I went to Zlotiter, my first experience with Zlotiter, I went there with I decided I was going to just try to hit my top roll. And after the tournament, I wished I had have been adaptive, but I went with, all right, first time in this tournament, just be quick and try to hit it. And I wasn't anywhere near good enough with that. So it's interesting how you learn from a tournament and things like that. And as you say, next time I go to Zloty, I'll probably do the opposite. I'll probably be like, all right, I'm going into all hooks this time and see what happens. I just want to get into a match.
It's like a repeat of the 10,000 hour rule, isn't it? In each one of these nuances, you'll find, okay, I can hit a hook off this position. I can hit a hook off this position. But on so many times when you go out and you're in an arm wrestling match against a vast range of opponents that are out there, and the little tiny fractional differences with how they apply their pressure, how they apply their start, the direction of that start, you'll find that you'll never get tired of learning stuff, because getting to a position from a different starting position with a different set of starting criteria, that's what makes this sport fascinating. Because the thing is evolving. It's alive. The sport isn't static. It's not going into a gym and picking up a bench. When you go and you get into a gym and you pick up a weight off the bench and you start to apply pressure onto it in a different angle, it's not going to change. It's not going to evolve. That isn't what happens when you're in an arm wrestling match. The thing evolves. It's alive. It changes. It changes maybe down to the fact that you're fatigued in a certain area. So the more repetition you've got under your belt, the more experience of doing things differently. You know, if it's in training, for example, right, and you have to do things in training, get your training session out of the way, and then at the end of the day, agree a time and a date when you and 3 of the guys that are relatively close to you are going to show up, particularly a guy who gives you trouble. Let's say there's a guy in there that gives you a shitload of trouble. He's a guy that's hard. Like, let's say for you, Ryan, right, it's Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know that Jordan might have that little edge on you. You agree a time and a date when you're going to go in there and actually go for it. But you're going to pull 20 rounds.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay? And in that 20 rounds, go in there with the mindset that, look, it's just me and this guy. We're training and we're going to go at it for real as we can make it. Real starts, real referees, as real as we can possibly make it. And I am going to try different stuff.
Mm.
I'm going to try a range of technical approaches to this match and see what works. And note down, okay, against this style of arm wrestler, this works. If I'm hooked with a loaded start, so you load back and then shoot at position, find out and mentally map what works against different styles of arm wrestler, because like anything else, there are consistencies in arm wrestling. There are consistencies across opponent. The more of those you have in the bank, the more of those tools you keep sharp, the more you will be happy to get out when it's tournament day or super match day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Agreed.
So that is that one. Ladies and gents, I know that a lot of guys on the last few episodes of the Fix, we've said, look, send in questions, give us an indication of what you would like us to talk about. And one of the matches that one of the things that came up time and time again was our recent comments around the Devon Larratt-Michael Todd match. So I want to just take us back a couple of weeks to try and go into that a little bit, because I think at that time, Ray, you were saying that you backed Devon as having the more favourable outcome from that sort of training session. And the question that was asked was, does Ray really believe that Devon would beat Michael in an arm wrestling match now if they went in fresh? And I think this was largely targeted, looking back at the question there, largely targeted around the fact that Michael had apparently done a very heavy training session throughout the day. That question was specifically to you, Ray, just feeling like it. Did you think that from what you saw that there would have been an effect on Michael and his game would have changed? Could he still access the position that he eventually won that training match in, or would Devon be able to keep him out of that position?
I talked with Devon when I did the video for Devon and Dennis pulling left hand and why it happened. I talked with Devon for information, all the backstory, and I asked him. So I said, "Did you saw the fixed episode?" And he said, "I saw it." I said, "Wasn't I right?" And he said, "Yes, you were right. I was just fishing." So I really believe Devon had more in the tank to finish. But again, like fresh for fresh, Michael is strong, but I really believe Devon has the tools. He's so versatile, and if he doesn't get thinking that his angle can hold Michael's side pressure, then he wins. I really believe he can win. He can outwork his hand, especially in 3, 4, 5 rounds. I really believe he can do that because he's much smarter than he was. It's very hard to say about strength, like with everything. It's been 2 years since they pulled, like really pulled. Devon last year didn't.
You've been reading these questions, haven't you? That's exactly what the next one was. Again, could you ask Coach Ray, from what he said there, does he still believe that Michael versus Devon is relevant?
Oh yeah, I believe it's relevant.
And that's
saying we saw Jerry give a try. Okay, good. We see that those styles kind of block each other out, so they're like this. It can go to either Trump or Biden.
Yeah.
But
I think it's always the relevance thing's a weird one, isn't it? Because relevance, whether people want to see it, surely.
Oh yeah.
If people want to see it, in my opinion, that's just me, but in my opinion, relevance is relevance. If somebody wants to see that match, it's friggin' relevant. If you
Devon,
wrestle, I want to watch.
Which one of us wouldn't want to see that match?
I never really, and I'm not having a go at you there, Corbin. What I'm saying there is that for me, relevance is in the individual. And if people want to see the match, if there's an excitement surrounding a match of any description, I think it's always relevant. And for me, Devon and Michael are a great matchup.
Let's be serious from the perspective of the majority of the fans. Devon is the knight in shining armor who's finally going to take the hammer away from the back. From the perspective, I mean, the way it's perceived is good and bad, from the general fan. And Devon is a heavy fan favorite. So of course, everybody wants to see that perceived good guy win the hammer, and finally dethrone this perceived bad guy. So I think a lot of that is, from a fan perspective is really what's driving it. And I think a lot of the comments, in support of Ray's perspective on that practice, training were skewed towards that fandom as well. And I think that Devon most certainly has the tools, obviously. Can he win that? For sure he can win that. I'm really interested in it and seeing what form Michael Todd comes in, because I think that's the X factor. And we said it before. I think it is, Devon was definitely fishing, and Devon definitely learned a lot. And he's definitely, after, from talking to him, he's confident in what he learned. And then there's the perspective of, Michael Todd, game day ready is a different human. So is the strength that Michael Todd's going to gain between now and that match going to outweigh the knowledge that Devon garnered from the training?
Yeah, but Devon is a different man too.
For sure.
Game day.
Yeah,
I'm fine for sure. He wasn't training. He was so eating Doritos and making omelets. That was he was doing. I believe Devon has better chances of beating Michael than 99% of 99.9% of arm wrestlers, because he has the insight, he has the tools, and he has done it in the past. Like,
the
someone asked me
experience.
today, can Vitaly beat Michael? And I said, I don't think so. However good he is, I would say 4-2, because I have to see Vitaly pressing. Either you have the side pressure or back pressure of John Berzenk, or you have the press. That's
okay.
That's
I think Latvian's always got the silver bullet shot there for me.
I don't want to hijack this, but I guess I'm assuming you guys all saw Lavon and Quickvinia.
Motherfucker, did I send you these before? There's literally just what I'm going through here.
I just watched it the other day, or yesterday I just watched it, and after watching Lavon's inability to gain a cup, and even to lose a little bit of positive wrist, does anyone's opinion on Lavon and Michael change?
Well, the two of the questions we've got here are specifically, is it confirmed that Gennady Quickvinia would be coming to the World Arm Wrestling League? To answer that, firstly, Gennady definitely coming to the World Arm Wrestling League. Yes, I can confirm that he had a match booked, and had we not been in COVID, he would have arm wrestled in the World Arm Wrestling League. That one is that's how that was. And the other question here is, did you guys see the recent Georgian team sparring session? I would love to hear your thoughts on how that went and what that tells you. And I was just going to say, it's similar in many ways, because you don't see the backstory. You don't know what the actual criteria leading up to. I mean, if you take it, okay, camera was switched on. Both guys walked into the gym absolutely dead fresh and hadn't trained the day before, and were both taking it really seriously. I don't think that happens. Does that happen? I don't know.
No. What I saw in that training pool was I feel like Lavon looked like he was slightly more relaxed than Gennady. I think Gennady was keeping the little things more protected, and subsequently, I think that's Lavon just achieving a point of balance, as we all do. If you're slightly stronger than a training partner, you give away just enough, and from that point, Gennady had the edge. But yeah, I mean, Gennady probably knows Lavon better than anyone else out there as well, so he pulls him very efficiently. I mean, we saw Dave Chafee crush Gennady not that long ago as well. So does that mean Chafee's going to crush Lavon?
Well, he didn't crush him, did he? Let's be honest, he didn't crush him.
Well,
I didn't see no crushing going on.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw a pretty dominant win.
See that in the World Arm Wrestling League, mate. I think there was a little bit of, you get a bit of movement on the fucking elbows.
Honestly, for me, the interesting thing is when you look at the super heavyweight world rankings and all the North American pullers, the European pullers, we were talking about Devon and Michael. It's very interesting how the question of relevance. Devon is super relevant against Michael Todd, as you said. Yet Devon, in the European world, most people say Devon doesn't rank top 3, 4, maybe even top 5 when you're talking the super heavyweights over there. So, the styles and the matches and everything, that's one of the beautiful things about the sport. And, it's tricky to pick, but yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Are we going to talk about the white elephant in the room? And the fact that Gennady Quickvinia has clearly put on 9 stone?
in the beard? Or?
Hey! Nobody looks fit. Don't he look big?
Yeah,
every time you see Gennady, it's like, you're a little bit bigger, dude.
Yeah. Every time I saw him, like the last off Worlds where he was coach, he dropped a lot of weight. I think he was pretty, in good shape. But before that, I remember Gennady walked in, I think Moldova, he's like, oh my God, he's so big. But like, what I saw from that match, I watched it, Lavon was trying to be Devon. Lavon was just standing and trying to hold him right. He wasn't attacking. He wasn't if you look, he stayed dead in the center, a little bit on the side, and he just couldn't contain him. And then when he started, he just went through him. So to say, I believe that's a good training environment. Like, I believe Lavon tried to do something, and he wanted to see can he hold. Gennady there. So that was my interpretation of that match.
Now, Ray, we're
Right.
going to keep you in the seat for this next one then, because this is not an easy one. Because, how long's a piece of string? But basically what it says here is, Ray, guys, and I love it, guys, but it's Ray, from what you saw in the Georgian sparring session, has it changed your opinions on how you feel a match would go between Lavon Saganashvili and Michael Todd? What do you think, Ray?
No, I believe he's strong, he's smart, and if he had that match, like they set the date for that match, Levin would prepare. Levin would really, really prepare. It's not easy to win King's move, Michael's King's move. It's nowhere near easy, but I believe he has the tools. He's extremely strong for a dude his size. He's pretty fast. He's very well coordinated, and they are very smart there. And the winning formula is known, and he said he has done it in training. He can press through him and things like that. And I believe how they were sparring, they were doing just pretty safe, just trying moves out and things like that. I still believe Levin might be the number one, but again, it's all speculation. We need to see that match happen before I can, it's very hard when there's hasn't been high level arm wrestling going around to even compare, It's like, how do you compare this guy versus this guy? I don't know. The short and honest answer is I don't know.
Now then, we had some comments from Engin Terzi that he felt that could be an interesting match, and Engin also was speaking to me about my respect of some of the emerging countries in arm wrestling and some of the guys that they've got coming up. And one of the guys that I referred to there was Georgi Saranov. I've spoken about Zaranov on this show and on multiple other shows.
And he got smacked.
110 kilogram champion of the world, right?
Hey guys, I got to drop, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Catch you next time.
Paul Linn is dropping out, but
bye.
we will see you on the next. Morozov. I haven't seen the Nomad League, guys. Get over Arm Wrestling Nomad. Get yourself over. Check out Arm Wrestling Nomad. Showcasing some absolute monsters. And one guy on there, if you haven't seen this dude, Morozov, I saw him a few years ago. He was a decent puller, but he didn't look all that. He's a very young man, I think early 20s. It's fair to say that he, right now, looks incredibly strong. Georgi Saranov, 6'0", on the left arm, and I think 4'2" on the right arm, and looked dominant, looked really solid. Now, as I said before and just a few moments ago, there is a possibility that there were other factors leading up to this, but it was a real match. Not in a training environment, as I'm aware of, and they were the two best heavyweight arm wrestlers in the nation. So once again, going back to what I'd said before, who the hell is Morozov and how good's this kid? Because,
is he young, is he? I haven't seen him.
I'm going to say, what is he? 25 or something. Something like, he's a young man. Last time I'd seen him, he was pretty skinny. Could see that he clearly had a solid, rounded game. Definitely favouring the top role. The dude on that video, different individual. He is packed on the muscle, stacked, looks in great shape, looks ridiculous. And in terms of that kind of showing against somebody of the pedigree of Zaranov, I don't even know where to start. Did you see that, Ray?
I saw that. Yeah.
Were you very familiar with Morozov beforehand, or was that?
I know him. I know how high everyone ranks him. Who knows arm wrestling, especially from European side. And Zeranov's left hand in Lotoshino, he didn't do very well. I think he got 7th overall,
but the right
in his class. But the right was ace, But here again, Kazakhs have a lot of monsters that we don't. Russians have a lot of monsters we don't see. to go to WAF World Championships, like top 2 guys go there from each class. So 40, 50 people don't go there. And some of them just had bad days. 5 of them maybe had bad days. And you run into one of these guys and he couldn't even qualify for a national team and they can beat world champions. So it's no surprise for me. I'm like, okay, I think Morozov was heavier. I think he was heavier than Drano. But,
yes, he seemed to be, yes, slightly, but not a lot, not like, not
still,
massive.
But still, like how he handled Hajimurat on Latoshino when he just pulled him in hook and Hajimurat was like, ridiculous, doesn't even have to try. So, look impressive, but they are there. Kazakhs, Russians, Ukrainians, they are there.
I would like to see, as I said, get over there. Arm Wrestling Nomad, check out some of their stuff. Very, very, very powerful pullers in there. I've been really excited during the lockdown period to see some of the guys, Margaret we spoke about the other week. There's so many guys out there that are as yet not really showcased. We haven't seen a lot of these guys showcased and what they can do. But it's an exciting time for the sport of arm wrestling. There's so much emerging talent, so many guys coming up at both the sort of underlying level and that elite level. I'm just loving it because the amount of matches you can make mentally for when we do get out of lockdown, we can try and put these things together for real. Absolutely fantastic. None bigger
than Ryan Bowen versus Schoolboy, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I've got Ryan and Ray. Me and Ray.
Hey, what a match. What a match.
Yeah.
Ryan versus Ray.
The best thing
Birmingham,
about the best
England, September 2021, Arnold Classic.
We would want to say November, Dubai.
Yeah.
You were literally like, are you in shape ready though for that? Could you do that?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. You're in shape. It's like, I'm in, mother.
I think it'd be very hard for us not to take that quite seriously. If we had that chance, we would both be pulling pretty hard, I'm pretty sure.
No giving in to that. Yep.
Yeah.
Down below, guys, let us know if you want to see the 2 lads from the Fix beat the shit out of each other. I would love to see it. Winner faces Linn.
Winner beat Paul Linn, yeah, for the fixed.
For the fixed.
Fixed championship.
Absolutely awesome.
And then you got to edit a little into the video for whoever's holding it.
Hey, we'll have that footage on the show. We'll break it down round by round with live comments on exactly what happened. The guy who's eating humble pie post match, whoever that may be. Oh,
who got leathered and why?
What's your confidence there, Ray? Do you think you could? You think you're going in there very confident? What do you give yourself? 6 rounds. How many are you winning?
I'm winning. I believe right now. I don't know how good shape Ryan is. I'm in super good shape. I'm in very, very decent shape. I believe I have all the chances, and if my arm doesn't hurt, we're talking about right hand, yeah? Because left hand, I believe you don't want this.
Yeah, I don't want
No. My last opponent in my super match for Tali, we had this $1,000 match on right, and he was trying to convince me to have a $1,000 match on left as well. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm not doing it. Like,
No. You put all that money on Trump. You're like, I have a better bet than this one.
The bet is placed. The taxi is booked. We're not having it. So, Ryan, how many are you smacking this dude by?
Honestly, I feel like I'm in my best shape too, despite the shoulder injury, which is a problem. I looked at myself a year ago. I actually had comments from on YouTube. Someone was looking at a video of mine from a year ago, and they identified to me. They said, "Dude, you are significantly in better shape now than you were a year ago." And I went back and watched a couple of videos, and I'm like, "Yeah, shit, here I am. Clearly, I have physically developed in the last year, and I know my side pressure is feeling just really nice right now. Being able to hook. I know Lachlan's the only guy pulling through me in a hook right now that in my club and region. And my hand feels like it's at its best. I feel really good. So I would be confident. I know I've had troubles with Ray's vector. It really felt unnatural to me. I was unsure whether I was going in or out. I was unsure whether I should go in or out with Ray. I was like, which groove is the best groove? But I think if I grip deep with Ray and just banged sideways, I think we'd be hook on hook. I think he'd back off his press and we'd be hook on hook. And I'd love to see where that goes, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
I think the beautiful part of arm wrestling is that we can do this. You know, if we have a chance, we can pull and we can find, it's always for like, it's learning experience for both of us. Either something worked or it didn't work, And I wanted to pull Ryan for a long time. I think internet wanted us to pull even longer, but if we have a chance, we will pull and it should be awesome. Yeah. I'm game.
Sounds like a plan, mother fluffers. Ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to leave you talking with the lads a minute because we're going to wrap the show up any second now and we're going to end on a joke.
Here we go.
Carry on, lads. I want to say that time check, ladies and gents, and that is that very sad time. Do either of you two lads follow James Bond?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very English.
I have heard about him. Yeah.
Okay. So
Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery, and he died.
Yeah.
Now then, in true fixed fashion, I'd like to dedicate this joke to the late great Mr. Sean Connery. So, then gents, Sean Connery walks into a bar. And he takes a seat next to a very attractive woman and gives her a quick glance. And then he casually looks at his watch, and the woman notices this, and she asks, "Is your date running late?" And he says, No. Q has just given me the state-of-the-art watch, and I was just testing it out. This woman's a bit intrigued, and she says, "State-of-the-art watch, eh? So, what's special about it?" It's like we're talking about Danny Tesh. And James Bond explains, he says, "Well, it uses alpha waves to talk to me telepathically." And the woman says, "Really?" Yeah. "So, what's it telling you now?" she says. He says, "Well, it actually says that you're not wearing any panties." And the woman giggles and she says, "Well, it must be broken, because I am wearing panties." And James Bond looks over there and he taps his watch, a little smile on his face, and he said,
"Bloody thing's an hour fast."
No.
Yes!
That's good. That's good.
We salute you, sir. Ladies and gents, this has been The Fix. Thanks for tuning in. I want to say a massive thank you to Paul Linn, who had to cough early. I want to say a massive thank you to Ryan, Bowen, the man from down under. And I want to say a massive thank you to Raimonds.
The voice.
Rolly Royce. My king. Ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to The Fix, to the Supernatural Strength channel, please let everybody know about it. Like, share, subscribe, mother fluffers. So we see you next time. Take it easy, peeps.
Boom.